Katie Martinez wiped down the last table in Luna's Corner Café as the afternoon rush began to slow down. She was 12 years old, with dark hair tied back in a simple ponytail, and bright brown eyes that always seemed to be smiling. The café sat in the heart of New Geneva Station, a huge space station where aliens from all over the galaxy came to trade and do business. "Katie, can you check on table 7? Her grandmother Lucy called from behind the counter. Lucy was a small woman, with gray hair and kind eyes. She had run Luna's Corner for 15 years, ever since Katie's parents died in a transport accident. Katie nodded and grabbed a clean cloth. Table 7 was where Mr. Zixon always sat. He was a blue-skinned Altarian who came in every day for his favorite Earth coffee. Katie liked Mr. Zixon because he always asked about her studies and told her stories about his home planet. The cafe was busy today. Katie could see at least 6 different alien species sitting at various tables. There were the tall, thin Centaurians with their silver skin. A group of furry Ursans were sharing a large pot of tea in the corner. 2 insectoid traders were having a heated discussion over some business deal. Katie had grown up on the station, so seeing aliens was normal for her. She spoke basic Galactic fluently and knew enough of other languages to take orders and chat with customers. What made Katie special was how she treated everyone the same. Rich merchants, poor workers, scary-looking aliens, friendly ones. They all got the same warm smile and careful service. Lucy had taught her that respect was something everyone deserved, no matter what they looked like or where they came from. The cafe door chimed as someone new entered. Katie looked up from wiping table 7 and saw a tall figure in a dark hooded cloak. The being moved slowly but with clear purpose. Katie noticed something strange. Other customers seemed to step back slightly as the figure passed. Even Mr. Zixon, who was usually very confident, looked down at his coffee cup. The cloaked figure walked to the furthest corner booth and sat down alone. Katie finished cleaning table 7 and walked over with her usual bright smile. "Good afternoon," she said politely. "Welcome to Luna's Corner. What can I get for you today?" The figure slowly reached up and pulled back his hood. Katie found herself looking at the most beautiful alien face she had ever seen. His skin looked like it was made of crystal, with tiny lights dancing underneath. His eyes were golden and seemed very old and sad. Katie recognized him as a Zephyrian from her alien studies classes. "You are not afraid," the alien said in perfect basic. His voice was deep and smooth. Katie tilted her head, confused. "Why would I be afraid? You're just a customer." The alien stared at her for a long moment. Around the cafe, Katie could hear conversations getting quieter. She glanced around and saw that several aliens were watching them nervously. "I am called Keth," the alien said finally. "Nice to meet you, Keth. I'm Katie. What would you like to drink?" "Coffee," Keth said. "Human coffee, black?" "Coming right up," Katie said cheerfully. "Have you been to our cafe before?" "No. This is my first visit to this station." Katie smiled. "Then you're in for a treat. Grandma Lucy makes the best coffee in 3 sectors. I'll be right back." She walked back to the counter where Lucy was preparing orders for other tables. "Grandma, 1 black coffee for the Zephyrian in booth 12, Katie said. Lucy looked over at the corner booth, and her eyes widened slightly. "That's a Zephyrian? They don't usually come to places like this." "He seems nice," Katie said, pouring coffee into a clean cup. "A little sad, though." Lucy watched as Katie added a small plate of freshly baked cookies to the tray. "Katie, those cookies cost money." "He's a first-time customer," Katie said. "You always said we should make newcomers feel welcome." Lucy smiled and shook her head. "You have too kind a heart, child." Katie carried the tray back to booth 12. She set the coffee down carefully and placed the plate of cookies next to it. "I brought you some of Grandma Lucy's chocolate chip cookies," she said. "They're on the house for first-time customers." Keth stared at the cookies, then at Katie. "You give me food without payment?" "It's just a little welcome gift," Katie said. "Is the coffee okay?" Keth took a sip and his golden eyes seemed to brighten slightly. "It is very good." "Great. Well, I'll let you enjoy it in peace. Just wave if you need anything else." Katie started to walk away, but Keth's voice stopped her. "Why do you work here?" he asked. Katie turned back. "I help Grandma Lucy after school. She needs the help and I like meeting people from different worlds." "You're not in school now?" "School ended an hour ago. I come here every day to help with the afternoon customers." Katie sat down across from Keth without being invited. "Are you here on business?" "You could say that," Keth replied. He took another sip of coffee. "You live on this station?" "My whole life," Katie said proudly. "I was born here. My parents were diplomats, but they died when I was little. Grandma Lucy took care of me. And you learned to speak with many species. Here?" Katie nodded. "You have to if you want to survive on a trade station. I can speak basic, Altarian, Centaurian, and a little bit of Ursan. I'm learning Insectoid, but it's really hard." "Your grandmother taught you languages?" "Some of them, but mostly I learned from customers. Mr. Zixon over there taught me Altarian. The Ursan family that runs the repair shop taught me their language. People are happy to teach if you're willing to learn." Keth ate one of the cookies slowly. "These are excellent. Grandma Lucy is the best baker on the station. She learned from her grandmother back on Earth." Katie looked around the cafe. "Do you have family, Keth?" The question seemed to surprise him. "I have many who serve me. But family?" He paused. "No, not in the way you mean." "That's sad," Katie said simply. "Family is important. Even if it's not blood family. Grandma Lucy isn't really my grandmother, but she loves me like one." "You speak of love easily," Keth observed. "Why wouldn't I?" "Love is what makes life worth living. That's what Grandma Lucy says." Katie glanced at the clock on the wall. "Oh, I should check on my other tables, but it was nice meeting you, Keth. I hope you'll come back." She stood up and started to walk away again. "Katie," Keth called softly. She turned back. "Yes?" "Thank you for the cookies, and for treating me like anyone else." Katie smiled her brightest smile. "That's because you are like anyone else. You're just a person who wanted coffee and ended up getting cookies too." As Katie walked away to tend to other customers, Keth sat alone in his booth, staring at the remaining cookies on his plate. For the first time in longer than he could remember, someone had shown him simple kindness without wanting anything in return. Someone had looked at him and seen not a ruler or a threat, but just another being who needed coffee and friendship. He finished his coffee slowly, watching Katie work. She chatted with the Ursan family, helped an elderly Centaurian with his walker, and made sure everyone had what they needed. Her grandmother Lucy watched her with obvious pride and love. When Keith finally stood to leave, Katie waved goodbye from across the cafe. Several other customers seemed relieved to see him go, but Katie just smiled and called out, "Come back, soon, Keth." As he walked through the station corridors back to his ship, Keth found himself thinking about chocolate chip cookies and a young human girl who treated emperors like ordinary customers. 3 weeks had passed since Keth first visited Luna's Corner. Every day at exactly 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he would walk through the cafe door, nod politely to Lucy, and sit in booth 12. Katie would bring him black coffee and whatever cookies her grandmother had baked that morning. They had developed a routine that made Katie smile whenever she saw the tall Zephyrian approaching. "Your usual, Keth?" Katie would ask, even though she already knew the answer. "Please," he would reply, and then Katie would sit across from him for a few minutes to chat before returning to her other duties. Today was different, though. When Katie brought Keth his coffee, she noticed he looked more tired than usual. His golden eyes seemed dim, and the crystal patterns under his skin weren't glowing as brightly. "Are you okay?" Katie asked, setting down his cup. "You look sad." Keth was quiet for a moment, stirring his coffee slowly. "I received news from home today. There are problems that need my attention." "What kind of problems?" "The kind that have no easy solutions," Keth said. "People are angry. They want things to change, but change is difficult when traditions are old and strong." Katie frowned. She didn't fully understand what Keth meant, but she could see he was worried. My grandmother always says that when people are angry, it's usually because they're scared or hurt about something. Your grandmother is wise. She is. She also says that listening is usually better than fighting. Katie took a cookie from the plate she had brought. Want to tell me about it? Sometimes talking helps. Kath looked surprised. You would listen to problems that do not concern you? Of course. That's what friends do. Katie said it so simply, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Friends. The word hit Kath like a physical blow. When was the last time someone had called him friend? When was the last time someone had offered to listen to his problems without wanting something in return? I come from a very old family, Kath said carefully. We have responsibilities that have been passed down for many generations. Sometimes these responsibilities are heavy to carry. Like how I help Grandma Lucy with the cafe? Similar, but much larger. My family's responsibilities affect many people across many worlds. Katie's eyes widened. Wow, that does sound heavy. No wonder you look tired sometimes. Over the next hour, Kath found himself telling Katie things he had never told anyone. He talked about the loneliness of making decisions that affected billions of lives. He spoke about the weight of tradition and how hard it was to know when to hold on to the old ways and when to try something new. He didn't tell her exactly who he was, but he shared more of himself than he had in centuries. Katie listened carefully, asking simple questions that somehow got to the heart of complex problems. When Kath talked about people who were angry with his family's decisions, she asked, "Have you ever tried talking to them directly? Like, not through other people, but face to face?" "It is not traditional," Kath said. "But would it work?" Kath paused. "It might." "Then maybe you should try it. The worst thing that could happen is that they're still angry. But maybe they'd be less angry if they knew you cared enough to talk to them yourself." As the weeks continued, Kath began to look forward to his daily visits more than anything else in his life. Katie would tell him about her day at school, her friends, and her dreams of traveling to other worlds. She wanted to be a diplomat like her parents had been. "I want to help people understand each other," she said one afternoon. "There's so much fighting in the galaxy because people don't talk to each other. They just assume things about each other instead of asking questions." "You would make an excellent diplomat," Kath said. And he meant it. "Really? You think so? I have met many diplomats in my life. Most of them are more interested in winning than in understanding. You are different. You listen first, then speak. That is rare." Katie beamed at the compliment. "Grandma Lucy says the same thing. She says I get it from my mom." Their friendship grew stronger each day, but Katie began to notice that other customers acted strangely when Kath was around. The Zephyrian merchants who sometimes came to the cafe would whisper to each other and leave quickly. Even aliens from other species seemed nervous. One day, Katie asked Kath about it directly. "Why do people act weird when you're here? Are you famous or something?" Kath was quiet for a long time. "My family is known in certain circles." "Are you in trouble? Is that why people seem scared?" "Not trouble exactly, but my presence here may cause complications." Katie frowned. "What kind of complications?" Before Kath could answer, Katie started coughing. It was a small cough at first, but it got worse quickly. By the next morning, she was too sick to come to the cafe. Lucy called it space flu, a common illness that spread quickly in the recycled air of space stations. When 3 o'clock came and Katie didn't appear, Kath asked Lucy where she was. "She's homesick," Lucy said, wiping down the counter. "Space, flu. She'll be fine in a few days, but she needs rest." The next day, Kath came to the cafe with a small bag of herbs that glowed with soft blue light. "These will help Katie feel better," he told Lucy. "Make them into tea and have her drink it 3 times a day." Lucy stared at the herbs. She had lived on trade stations long enough to recognize expensive medicinal plants when she saw them. "Kath, these must have cost a fortune. We can't accept—" "Please," Kath said quietly. "She is my friend." Lucy took the herbs, studying Kath's face carefully. Just who are you, really? Someone who cares about your granddaughter's health, Keth replied. The herbs worked amazingly well. Katie was back on her feet in 2 days instead of the usual week. When she returned to work, she hugged Keth tightly. Grandma Lucy told me about the medicine, thank you so much. I am glad you are well, Keth said, and Katie could see real relief in his golden eyes. But their happiness was short-lived. The next afternoon, as Katie was serving coffee to a table of Urson traders, she noticed 3 Zephyrians in official-looking uniforms enter the cafe. They moved with military precision, their eyes scanning the room until they spotted Keth in booth 12. Katie saw Keth's entire body go tense. The crystal patterns under his skin began to glow brighter, and his golden eyes grew hard and cold. Uniformed Zephyrians approached the booth, and Katie could see other customers starting to look nervous. Whatever was about to happen, it wasn't going to be good. Keth? Katie said quietly, moving closer to his table. What's wrong? Katie, Keth said without looking away from the approaching soldiers. I need you to stay away from me right now. Our friendship may have put you in danger. The 3 Zephyrian soldiers walked slowly across the cafe floor. Their boots made sharp clicking sounds that seemed to echo in the suddenly quiet room. Every customer had stopped talking and was watching nervously. Katie could feel the tension, in the air like electricity before a storm. The lead soldier was tall, even for a Zephyrian, with dark crystal patterns that looked like armor under his skin. His uniform had gold markings that Katie didn't recognize, but they looked important. When he reached booth 12, he did something that made Katie's jaw drop. He dropped to one knee and bowed his head deeply. Your Imperial Majesty, the soldier said in a voice that carried across the entire cafe. We have been searching for you. Katie felt like the world had stopped spinning. Imperial Majesty? She looked at Keth, who was sitting very still in his seat. His golden eyes were no longer warm and friendly. They had become cold and distant, like a stranger's. Stand up, General Vex, Keth said quietly. You are causing a scene. The soldier, General Vex, stood up but remained at attention. Forgive me, Your Majesty, but you have been missing for over a month. The Imperial Council is concerned for your safety. Katie's mind was racing. Imperial Majesty. Emperor. The friend who had been coming to their cafe every day for weeks, who drank coffee and ate her grandmother's cookies, who listened to her talk about school and her dreams. Was an emperor? Keth? Katie said in a small voice. What's he talking about? Keth finally looked at her, and Katie could see sadness in his eyes. My real name is Keth Varan. I am the Emperor of the Zephyrian Empire. The words hit Katie like a physical blow. Emperor. That meant he ruled entire star systems. Billions of people. He was one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, and she had been serving him coffee and cookies like he was just another customer. You lied to me, Katie whispered. I never lied, Keth Varan said gently. I simply did not tell you everything. That's the same thing. Katie's voice was getting louder, and she could feel tears starting in her eyes. You let me think you were just a normal person. General Vex stepped forward. Your Majesty, we must leave immediately. Our intelligence reports indicate that rebel forces are moving toward this sector. Your presence here puts everyone at risk. Rebels? Katie looked confused. What rebels? There are those who oppose the Emperor's rule, General Vex explained stiffly. They have been planning attacks on Imperial targets. We believe they may have tracked His Majesty to this station. Lucy, who had been watching from behind the counter, walked over slowly. Her face was pale, but her voice was steady. Keth, Emperor, whoever you are, is my granddaughter in danger because of you? Keth Varan stood up from the booth. When he did, Katie realized how tall he really was. Standing at his full height, with his crystal skin glowing brighter, he looked every inch the powerful ruler he was supposed to be. I hope she would not be, he said. But General Vex is right. My presence here may have put her in danger. Why? Katie demanded. Why did you come here? Why did you lie to us? Keth Varan was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer, more like the friend Katie had known. Because I was tired, Katie. I have been emperor for over 300 years. I have made decisions that affected trillions of lives. I have seen wars start and end. I have watched civilizations rise and fall, and through all of it, I have been alone. He looked around the cafe at the customers who were still watching in stunned silence. When I came to this station, I was planning to meet with trade representatives, but then I saw your cafe, and I smelled earth coffee, and I remembered what it was like to be normal. So I came in, and you treated me like I was just another customer. Do you know how long it had been since someone treated me like a regular person? Katie wiped her eyes with her sleeve. But you're not a regular person. You're an emperor. Yes, I am. But for a few weeks, when I sat in this booth and talked to you about your school and your dreams, I got to remember what it felt like to just be Keth. General Vex cleared his throat. Your Majesty, we really must leave. Our ships are detecting incoming vessels that match rebel signatures. As if to prove his point, the lights in the cafe flickered and a low rumbling sound echoed through the station. Emergency alarms began to sound in the distance. What was that? Lucy asked. Attack ships, General Vex said grimly. They're firing on the station's outer defenses. Katie felt panic rising in her chest. Are we going to be okay? The station's shields will hold for now, General Vex said. But not for long. Your Majesty, we have a ship waiting. We can evacuate you immediately. Kethaveran looked at Katie and Lucy, then at the other customers in the cafe who were looking scared and confused. What about the civilians? Our priority is your safety, Your Majesty. The station's own security will handle civilian evacuation. No. Kethaveran's voice was firm. I will not leave while innocent people are in danger. Your Majesty, that is an order, General. Katie stared at Kethaveran. Even though she was angry and hurt that he had hidden his identity, she could see that he truly cared about what happened to her and the other people on the station. The rumbling got louder and the lights flickered again. Through the cafe windows, Katie could see flashes of light as weapons fire hit the station's shields. How long do we have? Lucy asked. The shields will fail within the hour, General Vex admitted. After that, he didn't finish the sentence. Katie looked around the cafe at the frightened faces of the customers. There was the Urson family who had taught her their language. Mr. Zixon, who told her stories about his home planet. The elderly Centaurian, who always needed help with his walker. These people were her friends, her extended family. I'm not leaving either, Katie said suddenly. Katie, no, Lucy started. This is my home, Katie said firmly. These are my people. If the Emperor isn't running away, then neither am I. Kethaveran stared at her in amazement. Katie, you could be killed. So could you, Katie replied. But you're staying anyway. You said it yourself. You won't leave while innocent people are in danger. Well, neither will I. General Vex looked frustrated. Your Majesty, this is madness. You are risking the stability of the entire Empire for one space station. This space station has one young human girl who showed me what it means to be a good leader, Kethaveran said. She taught me that true power comes from caring about people, not from ruling them. If I cannot protect one child who called me friend, then I do not deserve to be emperor. Another explosion rocked the station, stronger this time. Through the windows, Katie could see small ships moving between the station's structures, firing at critical systems. The rebels are inside the station's defenses, General Vex reported. We need to move now. Katie felt scared, but she also felt something else. Determination. She looked at Kethaveran, who was no longer just her friend Keth, but also the Emperor of the Zephyrian Empire. And she made a decision that would change everything. Then let's fight back, she said. Katie's words hung in the air as another explosion shook the station. Emergency lights flashed red, and the sound of alarms filled the cafe. General Vex looked at Emperor Kethaveran with worry in his crystal features. Your Majesty, what are your orders? He asked. Kethaveran stood taller, and for the first time Katie could see the true Emperor in him. His voice became strong and commanding. Send word to all Imperial ships in the area. We defend this station. No one gets left behind. But Your Majesty, our primary mission is to protect you. I am ordering you to protect these people, Kethvarin said firmly. All of them. General Vex bowed his head. As you command, Your Majesty. Katie watched as the general spoke into a communication device on his wrist. She could hear him giving orders to Imperial forces, telling them to protect the station at all costs. Katie, Lucy said, grabbing her granddaughter's arm. We need to get to the emergency shelters. No, Grandma, Katie said. Look around. People are scared and confused. They don't know where to go or what to do. We need to help them. Katie was right. The customers in the cafe were panicking. The Urson family was huddled together in fear. Mr. Zixon was trying to help the elderly Centaurian, but both of them looked lost. The insectoid traders were clicking nervously to each other in their own language. I know this station better than anyone, Katie said. I grew up here. I know all the safe places, all the hidden passages. I can help people get to safety. Another explosion rocked the station, and this time the lights went out completely. Emergency power kicked in a few seconds later, but the cafe was now lit only by dim red lights. The rebels have hit the main power grid, General Vex reported. Station defenses are failing. Katie felt scared, but she also felt something else growing inside her. Determination. These people needed help, and she was the one who could give it to them. Mr. Zixon, she called out. Bring Mr. Henley over here. Mr. Henley was the elderly Centaurian who always sat at table 3. Katie, what are you doing? Lucy asked. Helping, Katie said simply. She raised her voice so everyone in the cafe could hear her. Listen to me, everyone. I know you're scared. I'm scared too. But I also know this station like the back of my hand. If you follow me, I can get you to the safest place on the station. The Urson father, whose name was Kor, looked at her doubtfully. You are just a child. Yes, I am, Katie said. But I'm a child who has lived here her whole life. I know where the emergency shelters are, and more importantly, I know the service tunnels that can get us there safely. She looked around at all the frightened faces. We can sit here and wait for someone else to save us, or we can save ourselves. What do you want to do? Mr. Zixon was the first to speak. I trust Katie. She has never steered me wrong before. Me too, said Kor's wife, Mira. Katie helped my cubs with their homework. She is good people. One by one, the other customers nodded their agreement. Even the insectoid traders, who usually kept to themselves, clicked their approval. Okay, Katie said, feeling a surge of confidence. Grandma Lucy, you take Mr. Henley and the Zephyrian customers. Stay close to General Vex's soldiers. Kor, you and your family come with me. Mr. Zixon, can you help the insectoids? Of course, little diplomat, Mr. Zixon said with a small smile. Katie looked at Emperor Kethvarin. Are you coming with us? I will stay and coordinate the defense, he said. General Vex needs to remain here to command the Imperial forces. Then, we'll meet you at the main emergency shelter, Katie said. Level 7, Section C. That's where everyone will be safest. Another explosion closer this time made the whole cafe shake. Through the windows, Katie could see rebel ships flying between the station's towers, firing at anything that looked important. We need to go now, she said. Katie led her group out of the cafe and into the station corridors. The main passages were crowded with panicking people, but Katie knew another way. She led them to a maintenance hatch that opened into the service tunnels. This way, she said, climbing into the tunnel first. These tunnels connect to every part of the station. The rebels won't know about them. As they crawled through the narrow passages, Katie could hear the sounds of battle above them. Explosions, weapons fire, and the rumble of ships flying overhead. But she focused on moving forward, on getting her people to safety. Katie, Kor called from behind her. How do you know these tunnels so well? I used to play in them when I was little, Katie said. Grandma Lucy was always working, so I explored the station on my own. I probably know these tunnels better than the maintenance crew. They emerged from the tunnels near the emergency shelter, but Katie could see it was already overcrowded. Hundreds of people were trying to get inside, and the station security was overwhelmed. There's too many people, Mira said. We won't all fit, Katie thought quickly. There's another shelter 2 levels down. It's smaller, but it should be safer because fewer people know about it. She led them to the secondary shelter, which was indeed less crowded. As they settled in, Katie realized something amazing was happening. People from dozens of different species were working together, helping each other, sharing food and water. Look at that, Mr. Zixon said, pointing to where a group of Centaurians were helping some injured Ursans. I have never seen cooperation like this. Katie smiled. That's what happens when people stop thinking about what makes them different and start thinking about what they have in common. Suddenly, the station's communication system crackled to life. Emperor Kethivaran's voice echoed through the corridors. Attention all residents of New Geneva Station. This is Emperor Kethivaran of the Zephyrian Empire. I want you to know that Imperial forces are defending this station with everything we have. But more importantly, I want you to know why. Katie listened carefully to the Emperor's words. For the past month, I have had the privilege of visiting this station as a private citizen. I have seen something here that I had almost forgotten existed. True cooperation between different species. I have seen humans, Zephyrians, Ursans, Centaurians, and dozens of other races living and working together in harmony. The Emperor's voice grew stronger. Today I watched a 12-year-old human girl risk her own life to save strangers from species she had never met before. I watched ordinary citizens become heroes because one child showed them that caring for others is more important than caring for yourself. Katie felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment, but also with pride. The rebels attacking this station believe that different species cannot live together peacefully. Today, we will prove them wrong, not with weapons or force, but with the same courage and kindness that one young human girl has shown us all. As if responding to the Emperor's words, the sounds of battle began to change. Katie could hear ship engines, but they sounded different, more organized, less chaotic. General Vex's voice came over the communication system next. Rebel forces are retreating. Repeat, rebel forces are retreating. Ships from 12 different species have arrived to defend the station. Katie felt tears of joy in her eyes. 12 different species? Mr. Zixon was monitoring the communication channels on his personal device. Katie, you need to hear this. Ships from all over this sector of space heard the Emperor's broadcast. They came to help defend the station because they heard about what you did. What I did? Katie was confused. I just helped people get to safety. You did more than that, Kor said gently. You showed everyone that a young human girl was willing to risk everything for strangers. That inspired others to do the same. Hours later, when the all-clear signal finally sounded, Katie and her group made their way back to Luna's corner. The cafe was damaged but still standing. Emperor Kethivaran was there talking quietly with Lucy. When he saw Katie, his face lit up with relief. Katie, are you safe? We're all safe, Katie said. Is it really over? Yes, the Emperor said. The rebels have surrendered, but more importantly, something amazing has happened. Representatives from all the species that came to help defend the station want to form a new alliance. They want to create more places like New Geneva Station, where different races can live and work together. Katie looked around at all the people, humans, Zephyrians, Ursans, Centaurians, and others, who were working together to clean up and repair the damage. So what happens now? She asked. Emperor Kethivaran smiled. Now, if it's okay with you and your grandmother, I'd like to continue visiting Luna's corner, not as an emperor, but as your friend Keth. And I'd like to help you achieve your dream of becoming a diplomat. Katie hugged him tightly. I'd like that very much. As the station slowly returned to normal, Katie realized that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness could change the entire galaxy. She had just wanted to help her friends get to safety. She never imagined that her simple human heart could bring together species from across the stars. But that, she was learning, was the true power of being human, the ability to see past differences and find the common bonds that connected all living beings.